Hi, I'm responding to this week's post by Aouad. Um, had been talking about a movie he watched and how there was an interplay of stereotypes with gender roles. In this case, it was a bunch of Southerners, and he noticed that the woman had less of a Southern accent, and Southern accents tend to be associated in the U.S. with stupidity and a lot of other negative tropes, and by having her have less of one, it, in his opinion, was perhaps almost made her seem more competent. To me, I think it's also perhaps a little bit more than that. A lot of times when female characters are shown having less negative stereotypes than male characters, it can instead be more of a fetishization thing. There's a higher expectation that women will conform to the standards in our society that we find most attractive. And if we find Southern accents unattractive in the northern U.S., that would be one of the things that would be less acceptable in a woman than a man. When I was watching Dragon Ball Super, there was a similar thing in the previous series. I'd noticed consistently that the female characters tend to be lighter than the male characters, including their own partners, and that's consistent even when it doesn't necessarily even make sense. There's, for example, a couple in the series that have two children, a boy and a girl. The male character that's married to the woman is darker than his wife, and for their children, the son has a dark skin tone like his, and his daughter has almost the exact same light skin tone as her mother. Now, this can happen in real life, obviously, but when it happens in a cartoon, it's an artistic choice. And it wouldn't mean much on its own, but then in combination with other things, we see more female characters who not only are lighter than their husbands in this show, but actually have more, sometimes white features even. For example, the lighter woman's mom is blonde, and her husband's very clearly Japanese. Her mom's more ambiguous and potentially white. We see another character who's married to a cyborg, and while he's very clearly Asian, again, his wife is ambiguous and blonde and blue-eyed. This doesn't necessarily mean she's not Japanese or Asian, but it gives her lighter features than him. And their daughter, again, has blonde hair and is lighter. There's another character who appears to be Middle Eastern, somewhat dark, and his daughter is much lighter than him. You never see her mother, but she's fairly pale and has blue eyes again. And this is pretty consistent throughout the series, and it kind of shows the intersection of not just sexism, but also either racism or colorism, which is an issue in Japan. Japan tends to associate darkness with Okinawans and Ainu, Korean and Chinese immigrants, and other minorities, whereas lighter skin is considered more attractive and more Japanese, even if you're not Okinawan or Ainu and still Japanese and still dark. It's still privileged to be lighter. And because that's considered more attractive, it's expected more of women, because women are expected to be more attractive both in Japan and in the Western movie that Samara was watching.